Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome in. It is, what day is it? It's Friday, March 19th. It's a beautiful day here in Palm Desert. The sun is shining. The golfers are playing. I'm Linda. This is Carl. And we are Colourwerx Designs, coming to you from Colourwerx Design House. And today is...
Yay!
Yay! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure that you like and share this video with all your friends. Also, check out our Colourwerx YouTube channel where you can subscribe and get pinged when there's new tutorials and things of that nature. It is episode number 35, I believe, of the Fab Friday broadcast. Today is Carl's day to do a tutorial, and
yes,
he's going to do.
Is.
He's not going to show himself. He's still very shy.
I'm going to be on radio
He's going to be like your voice in the distance, so to speak, to doing the tutorial for you. But he's going to show you how to take a photo, an ordinary photo of something you've taken, something colorful, whatever, and make a fast and fun little art quilt that you can give as a gift, use as a pillow, use as the background of a block clock, in case you guys are doing block clocks out there from previous tutorials. So let's see who's checking in from where. I see everybody checking in. Trudy, good morning. Good morning, good morning. And Lena is with us as well. Good morning, everybody. I think Pat is checking in from Pinehurst. Good morning and good afternoon. Becky, and I see, here we go, Romper Room. I see Julie, I see Becky, I see Nancy. Good morning, everybody. We really appreciate you all checking in with us, and welcome everybody in. Robert from Palm Springs. Hello.
Teddy made it on time this week.
Good morning, everybody. So waves to everybody, as we say. And let's check in, shall we? Is anything going on out there in the golf course? Like I said, it's a beautiful day. We've got golfers abounding. But of course, the 10 o'clock witching hour, nobody golfs.
Well, they're watching Fab Friday.
Are they watching Fab Friday?
From the golf
carts. But you can see it's a beautiful day here in the valley, the desert. The wind is gone. Everything is looking great and green out there, and the ducks are happy. Who else? Let's see who else is checking in. Is that Susan? Hello from Georgia. Hello, and Mary. Happy Friday to you too, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get right into last week's winner for the $10 Colourwerx gift card. As you know, last week's tutorial was all about how the heck do you use the Clover bias tape makers. Okay, so that would be episode number 34. In case any of you have the Clover bias tape maker and you've forgotten how to use it or need a brush up, go check out episode 34 on the YouTube channel for Colourwerx. But everybody who commented about the bias tape makers went into the random thingamajizer and it mixed everybody around. And this week's winner for the Colourwerx gift card is... Pat Stack! Congratulations! Pat from Pinehurst is this week's $10 Colourwerx gift card winner. We're going to get that to you right over in the email right after the show. So look for a little email that will have your Colourwerx gift card number on it. It's good. You just use it on your next order as like a coupon code. And so let's get right into workshops. You can see the beautiful Cosmos quilt behind me. This is one of the workshops coming up next week at Colourwerx. We still have some spaces available. So if you're interested in jumping in on a Zoom virtual workshop with me and Carl, or Carl and me, whichever, this is the place to be. So let's start Tuesday, March 23rd, starting at 10 a.m. in the morning. This is a 1-hour lecture. It's the Got Color lecture, primarily Carl's lecture, to show you how you can pick easy color palettes from everyday inspiration around you, how you can choose things in your house and create color palettes, and all the other tips and tricks he has for actually looking at the color in your fabrics and creating a palette from that. So that is next Tuesday, 10 to 11. You just sign up on colourwerx.com on the workshop tab, and then you'll get a Zoom code, or you'll have a Zoom registration link where you register again and you get your unique code to get into the workshop. So that is Tuesday. Then let's see, I think we have Wonky Piecing and Easy Applique happening Thursday, March 25th. This is a 4-hour workshop where you can choose to make a cat, a dog, or a fish in class. We're going to learn a little bit of applique and a little bit of easy easy quilting for the background, and you'll come up with just a small little project that can be made into a pillow, or you can make it into a bigger project. And then Friday, March 26th, starting at 10 a.m., these are all specific, not specific, but West Coast time. So if you're in the East Coast, this would be 3 hours later. So this starts at 10 a.m. is our No Fear of Cosmos workshop. And that is a 6-hour class with a bit of a lunch break. And you're going to learn wonky piecing. We're going to learn how to do curved piecing in this class. And you'll end up making 1 or 2 of these large Cosmos blocks, which are 22 inches by 22 inches. So they make great pillows or table runners or things of that nature. And that's what this quilt behind me is the Cosmos quilt. This is the Big Mama, which is turned on its side. That's why the stripes look like they're a little bit different. But all of those workshops are up on the Colourwerx.com website under the Workshop for Individuals tab, and there is space still available. So if you've ever wanted to jump into class, or you want to jump into class before you go off on a spring break now, this is the place to be. So
we have a couple of comments.
Comments, what?
Julie used the bias tape maker last week.
Oh, thank you, Julie. So this week I had to cut, what did she say? You just like got rid of her comment. This week I had to make bias tape and used your tips. Thank you, Julie. That's so nice.
And Teddy's got a question about you, like your earrings.
Oh, these earrings. These are from a little store in Palm Springs called, Robert might know the name of it. It's called Peepas, something like that. And it was a relatively new store, but I got them about a couple months ago. I couldn't resist them. They're very Twiggy-like. Thank you. So it's Pepas or Peepas down in Palm Springs here on Palm Canyon Boulevard. So they're beautiful. Yes, and Pat says thank you.
To the Thingamajizer.
Oh, yes. Congratulations, Pat.
And it's a happy birthday to Lena.
Happy birthday, Lena. Congratulations. Happy birthday to you. So, okay. So before we get to Carl's tutorial, let's
review the kitchen.
We're not going to talk about the kitchen, okay?
There wasn't any.
Because the kitchen really, we promised you guys, but guess what? The Mini Coop had a problem. This was the strangest thing. So our whole week was like totally disrupted with the Mini Coop. So the Mini Coop, if everybody knows, we have a Mini Coop. That's the one car we have. So I go to fill it up to gas the other day, and you stick the nozzle in the gas tank, and it kept clicking off, and it kept clicking off, and it kept clicking off. Like 20 cents would go in, and then it would click off again. Needless to say, of course, we're on empty, and of course, there is no Mini Coop dealer around here to fix in the Coachella Valley. The nearest Mini Coop dealer to us is Ontario or Tustin, which is
80 miles.
80 miles, 100, and it's like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours away. So I came home. Carl then took it to the gas while I called up the Mini Coop dealer to see if I could bring it down. Carl spends an hour sticking the nozzle in that silly gas tank and click off, click off. So what did you do, like 20 cents at a time?
10 cents.
10 cents at a time. So which took an hour to actually get enough gas in the tank to get it down to the Mini Coop dealer. So needless to say, it was a very frustrating. We finally got it down there. I mean, we had a full tank of gas by the time Carl was done.
And lots of angry customers behind me.
Yes, and lots of people waiting to get gas, but they didn't understand what we were doing. And of course, now the gas tank is being replaced. It's a recall, or something's going on with the Mini Coop. So that disrupted the entire kitchen with the addition of trying to get taxes prepped here now, and some of the changing tax laws that the Congress just passed, and all this stuff. And if you've ever done independent contractor work like Carl and I do, you know, some of that really affects deductions. And not that you guys want to know all this, but
that's an accounting lesson now.
Well, no, we don't. We don't want an accounting lesson. But anyway, so the kitchen is not done. And the kitchen will be done the next time we see you in 2 weeks. So we won't say that. But anyway, this is Carl's day to talk about how to do a fun little art quilt based on using a photo or anything you have around the house as inspiration, and what he sees in these photos and how he does it. So this is Carl's day here, and here he goes.
Intro. So you did get a sneak peek of me.
Well, yeah, just the photo, because you wouldn't put yourself on camera.
I know.
And what are we doing there? We're
back to the beginning.
There we go. Back to the beginning.
Technical issues. Anyway, so about a year ago, we were teaching down in San Juan Capistrano.
Yeah, San Clemente, I
San
think it
Clemente
was.
or whatever it was.
And yes.
So I took off while you were teaching that morning because you didn't need me. You kicked me out. So I went up to the Pageant of the Masters,
Which is in Laguna.
which is in Laguna.
Laguna Beach. So if anybody's been down to Laguna Beach, it's the Pageant of the Masters, or it's the artsy,
Yeah.
the Sawdust Festival.
So I was taking some photographs from there because nothing was going on because everything was closed. You couldn't go in. So here's some photographs I was taking because this is all I could do of colorful things. And I just
And
loved...
this was what, an art exhibit? I think this was
actually,
the front entrance of an art exhibit going on? Or
well, the art fair is a marketplace,
right?
But it was closed because of
Right.
COVID. But somebody decorated outside very nicely, and I thought, these look great for quilt ideas. So I did, so I started snapping photographs. You see the one on the right there. If you look right in the middle, that is almost a quilt block right there, ready to go. And the one on the left is the one I was using for my inspiration, and we'll get to that in a minute. But just look at the color and the shapes, that's what I look at. So moving on, this is the one that I actually picked. So this is another angle. The one on the left is another angle of the one I'm going to use. And I'll just like the one on the archway and the Dutch angle on that, make me happy with that squiggly line. Anyway, so being my inspiration, I then went to my stash to decide to make a little art quilt. So here's my stash. Don't laugh. That is my stash.
That is Carl's stash.
Linda does not give me any fabric.
It's my scrap bag. So when I'm done making a quilt, it goes in this bag, all the extra fabric, because I don't like, once I'm done with a fabric, I just can't look at it again. I don't know what it is. So this
becomes Carl's stash.
It becomes, unless it's Cafe. And Cafe is a special person, has a special cart.
But I did steal some Cafe.
But yes.
Anyway, so I dove into the bag.
Yes. Look at that.
Took a handful of fabrics, just grabbed whatever it was. I didn't even go through it at that point. The next thing I did, I laid that fabric out and look, I made myself a palette.
And that was based on your photo. You were picking out some things like dots, triangles.
It doesn't matter what.
And a lot of those
colors.
Krista Watson fabrics were Krista quilts.
And I did steal a couple of caves from your cart that you don't know about yet.
What?
Anyway, right there.
You stole the zigzag.
I know. Anyway, so moving on from there. So what we need to start to make an art quilt is just basically we just need some fusible web. I use the bonding one there. I can't give you the brand. It's Heat and
Bond Light.
But I wasn't going to advertise. But it is Heat and Bond
Light. We're not influencers.
No. Rotary cutter, ruler, and a pen, and an iron. Now the ruler, I might add, is not for measuring. So we will get that bit out of the way. It was for cutting. So moving on again. So when I isolated the fabrics a little more when I pull out the bag, not only did I just have scraps of fabric, I also had offcuts of blocks that had been made from Linda's projects, the paint box blocks.
Yes.
Those are the offcuts that we couldn't use. Some half square triangles that you decided you didn't want the colorway in that quilt. And they go to the scrap bag, and that's where I go dumpster diving in the scrap bag, and I pull out these. These are all useful pieces to me. I have no idea what I'm going to do at this point with these pieces. Not a clue. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to back all the pieces with fusible web. So that's what this picture is. There's fusible web right there.
And did you back more pieces than you were going to use? You just kind of
I
backed
just did it as I went along. Yeah, I did it when I went along. I didn't back everything. I just did it as I was going to, because I had no idea what I was going to create. At this point, I'm just making fusible pieces. And this is made because I don't like them dog ears on them triangles when you make them. So I did square them down because I want nice, crisp edges on the sides of my fusible appliques. Okay, so that was that one there right then. So this is me lining up some fusible web on a strip now. The others were squares. This is just some, I just grabbed some strips, didn't even cut the strips down. They were already stripped like that. And as you can see, I just make the fusible web slightly smaller than the strip. So when I iron it on, I don't get it all over your ironing board and the iron. And then I can trim it down once it's ironed on. And that's what this next photograph is I just trimmed away, didn't measure, just cleaned up the edge. That's all I was going to do. This next one is me cutting up them funky pieces that were left over. Look, so I took that triangle, which was striped, and I cut it straight so it gave me a 45-degree chevron kind of a piece. So what I did on that one. And again, I just cut some fusible web to fit the back, iron it on, moving on from that one. Now I cut the other ones in a different way so they went straight. So they were like color bars. See that? So I just straight cut those ones and I got some color bars from that one. Then I got a piece of fabric that I just loved. I hadn't got a clue where this was going, what I was going to do with it, but I thought, oh, I'll fussy cut these little elephants out there. Mama and daughter elephant or baby elephant. So I thought, I don't know where it's going to go yet.
In case anybody wants to know, that's a Carrie Bloomston fabric from her last collection. I can't recall the
but
name,
we did a
but
nice
it's from
quilt.
Wyndham Fabrics.
We did a big mud blossom.
And it may
for
still be out there.
Yeah.
Carrie
Anyway,
Bloomston.
I haven't got a clue what I'm going to do with this yet. I just cut that piece out. So in the next photograph, this is me starting to make the quilt. This is just my canvas.
Oh, all right. That's just a piece of background fabric.
Yeah. If you see the color behind it, that's the ironing board because the fabric wasn't that thick. It was kind of transparent. But it's what I wanted to use anyway. So
is that like a fat quarter?
It is a fat quarter.
Okay.
I just took a fat quarter.
So you just started with a fat quarter, nothing on the back, just put it on the ironing board.
Right. Okay. And this is not, I've got no design. I didn't draw anything out. I just was thinking of that photograph, and we'll see that at the end so you can see the inspiration again of what I was doing. So then I'm going to start assemble this quilt, rough assembly, and this is where we got to. So the first one I put a triangle. I thought, I like that. Then I thought, well, what if I put all the triangles in a row, just like that? And I went, well, I kind of like that. That's neat. Do I stop that? No. I want to add some more. I'm looking at the photograph again, and there's some strong vertical lines in the photograph. So I had a vertical piece. I thought, that looks good. Now I want to balance that out somewhere in the middle now, because all the weight is to one side of the quilt. There was lots of color in that quilt, and some color bars I came up with. So I thought, oh, let me put the color bars in. And what I'm doing here, I'm overlaying the color bars and the black bar over the edges of the triangles because I want to capture the edges so I don't have these pointy edges coming out.
And that's just a personal preference.
Now I found a spot for my elephant. Look at that. Right in there. Those two little elephants popped right in there. Just fill that space.
And I should add, you're not going to piece any of this down. You're just going to fuse all this down to your background. Right. So there is no piecing involved
Except there is piecing because the stripes there are pieced. So, and the half square triangles are technically they're pieced.
Well, no, but they were already pieced, is my point.
Yes.
You're not piecing
I'm not piecing them.
I pieced those.
No,
but you found them in your scrap bag. So what you're doing is just fusing all this in place, just in case.
So technically, you're a contributor to this quilt.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So anyway, so now this is like a jigsaw. I'm trying to fill in the spaces around what I've already got. So the next piece I pick is, I just pick an accent piece because that black was a bit too black. And I found this little piece and I thought, oh, that's nice. It's got humps like elephants.
That's Krista Watson.
Yeah. And I just placed that in there, and I thought, well, that kind of neat. I'm moving on. I'm not designing anything yet. I'm just moving on here. The chevron piece, I found a place for that in the bottom of the quilt right there. I thought, well, that's nice. It accents. It goes with the flying geese coming down, and then it moves the quilt across. Got a little space at the top. What do I put in there? Some text fabric that I add. A little bit of text just to finish that row at the top, if you can see. I just wanted a bit more interest up in that corner. And where there's one piece of text, I needed two pieces of text, so I put one in the bottom corner, just to balance. I like things to balance now and again. And again, I'm just throwing these things down. I'm not doing anything.
Did you start with any kind of rough drawing before you started?
No,
okay.
I just went for it.
Wow.
I didn't know what if it was going to work or not. So I just started going for it. I got another piece of cave now. I thought, oh, I like this cave. And I didn't know where that was going, so I placed it in the middle there because I wasn't sure if it was going to work. Yeah. And I put it there, and you see how it picks up the red.
Cave stripes are so fabulous.
But that stripe itself mimics the color bars that I got going there. So now I'm balancing again. That's what I'm doing. So the next piece I'm going to put in here is some cave dots, because I thought if there's one piece of cave, I need two pieces of cave. So I just put some dots down the side like that. Made it like a checkerboard thing going. I like that. Now I'm still balancing the quilt with color and shapes so nothing gets too heavy on one side. Then I said to myself, well, I've got the gap between the dots and the cave. I need to cover that. So I got myself some white squiggly fabric because I didn't want it to be color anymore. I wanted to break up the color with some white so your eye would rest. So that's when I got my squiggly fabric out, tested it, put it on there, loved it. Now I've got these two big white lines going down. It's like a cross section there of a road, if you see that. The big white in the middle and the one at the bottom. I've got to do something with that now because it's quite not there yet, so I need to kind of fill in. So I'll grab another piece of black and white. Oh. And look at that one. It's like a kind of a checkerboard.
Yeah.
And that just tied the black on the far right to the rest of the quilt by doing that. And you'll see when I go back to the inspiration photograph where I was getting the inspiration from for all these vertical lines and the color and the black and the white. So now I've got to deal with this horizontal one there. I get another piece of Krista. Look at that. Blue. And I'm tying in that blue and purple to go with the elephant above it. Brings up into the flying geese. Ties into the bottom. Ties into the side. But I still haven't finished yet. I've still not decided that I like this yet because there's one more element I'm missing. That intersection where the blue dots go and the black and white. I'm thinking I can do a little bit better. So I'm looking at the flying geese, and lo and behold, in the cave section, I got a zigzag from cave, which mimicked that
Wow.
thing. And that was it. That was my first attempt. I liked it. That's what I did. That's what I came up with. This is the inspiration I used again. So going back. So if you can see, I wasn't trying to copy the photograph. That wasn't the idea, to copy the photograph. The idea is to use the photograph as inspiration for color, for shape, for design. So you can see it's very colorful. There's lots of colored stripes, colored dots. That's where the dots come in and the stripes come in. The triangles, that's where the flying geese and also the black and white comes in. But if you also notice, there's lots of strong vertical lines going up and down the photograph there. That was the idea for the big vertical strips going into the quilt itself. And then I've got like the blue dot one was like the pavement going in there. And if you notice in the original photograph, there was a green tree as an element. Well, my element was the elephants. I wanted to put my elephants to mimic that tree. It doesn't have to be a tree. It could be anything you want. And this is just from any, so you can interpret the photograph in any way you would like. And this is my interpretation. I'm going to cut back to Linda, and she's got
Marianne is saying, what size is it? I've got it right here.
It's a fat quarter size. So we're cutting back to Linda.
Okay, let me back up.
Back up, way back up.
I have to go this way. Okay, there we go. Now I can see it. So it's actually a fat quarter size. So everything was contained on the background. It's fabulous. Everything was contained on the background
of the
white fabric that he started with, which was a fat quarter size. So everything comes out to that fat quarter, and the background is peeking in here. And I guess he's given it to me now.
It's now Linda's.
And I'm now being told that I need to machine quilt this. So that is going to be the tutorial in 2 weeks when we come back to you, is how I'm going to machine quilt this. I'm going to let it sit here and kind of fester and think about it and look at it for a while. But this is Carl's finished piece, and
it didn't take long.
And the reason I asked him is, did you start with a kind of a sketch first? You could do that too. You could take a photograph and kind of give yourself a little sketch or ground plan to go by. But I think it came out fabulous. And again, these were all scraps in the scrap bag,
which is my stash.
Scrap bag, which is his stash. Once I stick it in the scrap bag, I don't like it anymore. I don't want to see it anymore. And that's his bag to go test blocks with and play with and make block clocks, which is, and things like this.
I don't like waste.
So, what are those questions coming up? Let's see if anybody has any questions going on.
Trudy
but
says,
you should have fun.
Wow,
this is a fun
that's
thing.
Great, Carl.
And by fusing,
thank you, Trudy.
Yes, thank you, Trudy. I was going to say, but one of the things I wanted to offer, let me get it straight there, is by fusing everything to the background fabric, you don't have to worry about piecing or intersections or Y-seams or anything. You can do all of that, which I think I'm going to do when I machine quilt it. I'm going to embellish maybe some of these seams here, like I might applique around
but what's good about this too is,
I don't know. I've got ideas.
You can add piecing strips that are being appliqued, just like we do in the Wonky Strip series of projects. So there is piecing in there. It's just not piecing is the final project. It's an element of the project.
Right. What I was saying was, if you didn't, you shouldn't worry about having to piece everything together.
No.
If you start with one piece of fabric and everything is fused and fusible webbed, then you're just really ironing it down. I mean, you could even cut the most minute little piece, like a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch. And, there is a lady out there, Cheryl, who's a designer, who does mosaic applique. And she starts with basically, I think they're either 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch squares or 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch squares. And you'll see her patterns at all the quilt shops. Cheryl Lynch is her name. And she actually does compositions of, like, let's say, dogs or bees or watercolor paintings, a bicycle, parked outside a shop or something. And it's all mosaic. And it's all starting with a selection of 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch squares or 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch squares. So it looks like watercolor when she's done. It's beautiful stuff.
This one I just wanted to make quick and easy and fun and relaxing and not even think about. Robert, yes, Robert.
What's Robert say?
Photographs are a great inspiration.
Yes.
And a great tool. Use them all the time.
Yes.
Whenever you can. Don't throw them away. Don't dismiss them. Photographs are your best ideas. Sandra says...
And there's no right or wrong. I have to say, there's no right or wrong on the interpretation of a photograph. People get hung up and they think, oh, I'm looking at this photograph, I see this. Is that correct? Yes, absolutely. It's whatever you want to interpret your photograph to be. It can be a sunset. It can be the most abstract thing of a close-up of a flower, the middle of a flower, which doesn't really look like the middle of a flower because you get up too close to it. And that's fine. If you want to interpret that, that's great.
That's what it is. Sandra had the question, would you explain again how you prepare the background? Yes, Sandra, it was just a fat quarter, which was crumpled up, because Linda kind of crumples things up when she puts them in the scrap bag.
Right.
So I needed to iron that for 5 minutes just to get myself a fat quarter out of it. So that was just the background. It was just one piece of fabric, just a fat quarter, nicely ironed, I may add.
Right. So you just start with a fat quarter, but you could start with like a, it's what size you want your piece to finish. Now, if you were doing something like this for the background of a block clock, which was Carl's tutorial, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, making a clock out of an orphaned block that you might have around your sewing room. The block clock is a 12 by 12 inch frame. So you might want to start with maybe a 13 by 13 inch square at that point and fill in the whole square with your piece or with your ideas and fuse it all down. And then, either don't machine quilt it or machine quilt it and then make your block clock. So it's just ideas of fun things to do. This is a great project also to do with grandkids. If you're looking for something to entertain your grandkids with, this is a great little project. They don't have to, they can create their own composition. You can have them bring their own photo and then bring out your scrap bag or your stash and just help them fuse on the fusible web. It's just Heat and Bond Light or Steam a Seam or Pell and Wonder under any of those adhesive webs, and then let the grandkids go on it and then finish them up for them in pillows or things like that.
I have another question from Suzanne.
Yes.
Do you remove the paper from the back of the fusible so it's ready for the iron? I didn't until I laid it all out to decide I liked it, because things can happen when you start removing.
Do you love how he's still off camera? He's talking to you
I'm
all,
a radio.
and he
It's
won't put himself on camera.
Here.
I'm sitting here like
Hello?
like Vanna White holding this,
Look,
and he
here.
won't put himself
Here's my
on camera.
face because I'm answering
Oh
questions.
my God, here he comes.
Here is my quilt.
Oh, there. Okay, there. You got one sneak peek.
Right. So back to Suzanne's question. Do you remove the paper from the fusible? I don't until I like what I see on the page, only because accidents can happen when you remove the fusible web too early. You put them down for a later placement, and they get lost or they hit the iron by accident.
Well, I guess the lesson learned is, create the composition first, leave the paper in place, maybe take a picture of it on your iPhone. That's
what I did.
And then go back and remove the paper and start to iron everything in place. So this is all, as you can see, ironed down.
Right.
So this is ready for me now to put some batting. I'll have to get a backing. I'm going to have to let it sit for a while. I'm going to think about it for the next week or so and come up with some great ideas on quilting maybe. Nothing fancy. I'm a horrible machine quilter. So most of what I'm going to quilt is probably going to be done with my even feet or walking foot, just and some decorative thread.
Lynn had an answer to that, to the mosaic designer. It's Cheryl Lynch.
Cheryl Lynch, that's right. Cheryl Lynch Quilts. She does beautiful mosaic.
It will be interesting then, Nancy, to see how Linda appliques this.
It will be.
It will be.
If I still had my bedazzler, I might bedazzle it.
That's right. Mary says it could be used as a big block clock.
It could be a big block clock, actually. It could be. I do have some ribbons, too, so I might run, I'm just thinking I might run a Renaissance ribbon down or a ribbon motif around here somewhere. And, of course, I'll probably be using my bias tape maker to make tiny little binding for it, too, because it's an art quilt. I can see this is going to be kind of a wall hanging. And I'll probably use a product called Thermore, which is a very lightweight batting that they sell at your quilt stores. Thermore, Thermore, I believe I have that correctly. It's very lightweight. It's perfect for art quilts like this, or wall hangings, or things that don't need to have a very thick batting. And that allows me to put even a thinner binding, which I'll make out of the Clover bias tape, I think, out of some fabric.
Yes, Trudy, I am the invisible man.
He is the invisible man, yes.
Now,
and Carol's got quite a big comment going on there. What is going on?
Well, Carol's saying that that I should remove the fourth fabric from the left and replace it with something because the black and white is doing a number on her eyes. Actually, what that's doing...
Oh, this fabric?
Yeah, well, actually, Carol, what that's doing, this is a technical term, if Linda doesn't mess with the camera. It's strobing. It's called, in video, it's called moiraying. And that means that the black and white, when it goes through video, will haze a little bit and make your eyes messy. But actually, when you look at it in real life,
It's
it
not
doesn't
strobing.
do that. It doesn't
No,
strobe.
I think that's a camera thing, but that is actually the place, Carol, where I was thinking a Renaissance ribbon would look great.
Oh, look at that.
Coming down the
Ooh,
middle.
break it up.
Like a very thick Renaissance ribbon, which are, if anybody doesn't know what Renaissance ribbons are basically, it's a website called Renaissance Ribbons up in Northern California, and Edith owns it, and she licensed all these designs from Kay Fawcett, Sue Spargo, Tula Pink. So she does beautiful, beautiful, and all these other designers, beautiful woven ribbons that are perfect as embellishments for clothing or anything else around your house, pillows. But something like this, when you're putting a little composition art quilt, this would be really serve very well to break up that strobe effect that you're seeing with a beautiful Renaissance thick woven ribbon.
We shall see.
We'll see.
All will be revealed.
We shall see. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back with you now. So we're going to be off for 2 weeks. Thank you guys for indulging all of us on that art quilt with Carl. Well, please like and share this video. And of course, the question of the week now for the Colourwerx gift card is, what photo will you use as inspiration for your art quilt? If you have one in mind right away, just go ahead and put it in there. A flower, a sunset, even your grandchild, another quilt that you may have made, a block perhaps, anything. Or if you don't have one, maybe come up with, just say, I'm going to go take a photo. Of course, because everybody goes in the random thingamajizer. So there we go. I don't think, is there something going on at the cactus camp?
Yeah, we got golfers.
What?
Look out there. Look, they're golfing.
Oh, it's a big group, isn't it?
Well,
look at that.
I don't know. They're messing around with some little white ball or something.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, they normally they mess around with balls.
Yes, some are yellow, some are pink, some
Anyway, thank you so much for being here this morning. We really appreciate you hanging with us on Friday mornings. We will be back with you, not next week because we're teaching, of course, the Cosmos class here. So we will be back with you in 2 weeks, April. I can't even believe that this year has gone by like this. April 2nd, if you can believe it, which is Good Friday. So we'll have something. And the tutorial for April 2nd is I'm going to do a tutorial on how I'm going to quilt. I should bring it up. Sorry, it's got a pin in it. I didn't want to poke myself. How I'm going to quilt. I can never get it in the right place. This, which is Carl's art quilt based on his photo. So we shall see. We're going to let everything kind of ferment a while in the sewing room here as we try to clean up the rest of the house. We've got to go pick up the Mini Cooper now, which is having its gas tank replaced. It's an exciting, exciting time here at the Colourwerx Design House.
Till next time.
So the next time, we really appreciate you guys hanging with us. Happy quilting, everybody. Happy Colourwerx quilting. Be safe. Be sane in these insane times. Have a great weekend, and we will see you in 2 weeks, which is April 2nd, Good Friday. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week.